Hello, everyone. This is part of a series on Disney and race. We want you to know that in doing this series, it is not our intention to talk.
I'm JP Tuesday.
And I'm Kiki Canon. We've been Disney fans our entire lives. And now, as childless adults, we're undertaking a journey through the media that shaped our lives.
Trying to find out if what made them special is still there.
We are Rewatching the Magic.
Hi, Kiki.
Hi, Tuesday.
Crazy couple of weeks, hasn't it?
Yeah, as we are recording this, we are, 15 days into the protests and unrest, I guess we could call it, after the death of George Floyd. Mm-hmm. And so, like we said at the intro, we have decided that now is the time to talk about Disney and race. We had intended this episode, Princess and the Frog, for next week, and we moved it up a week. Yeah. In order to start this series. So I know a lot of people are thinking that there's a different Disney movie that maybe should have started this series. Yeah. So let's briefly discuss the elephant in the room. I know that when you talk about Disney and race, everybody is immediately going to say, so you're going to talk about Song of the South. And spoiler alert, that is not currently on our list. We want to say that there's nothing more we can add to that conversation.
Yeah, there's nothing we can say that hasn't already been said about this movie.
I think that everybody kind of knows the racist history of Song of the South. Disney even knows the racist history of Song of the South. That's why it's not on Disney Plus. It's why they're not, putting out DVDs and stuff of it. They are kind of downplaying large parts of it. Anything that is not zippity doodah seems to be kind of being erased by the Disney Corporation.
And, the cartoon characters.
Well, yeah, some of the cartoon characters. But, even when you get into Brer Rabbit and that cast of characters, there's not a great past there, too. So, that one song seems to be about the only salvageable thing from that film.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
Hey, it's me editing the podcast. After recording this episode, we found out that wasn't true. We'll go into that on the next episode. Thanks.
Now, back to our show.
However, we have been wanting to do some of the newer films that Disney has done about race and bigotry in an attempt to be better.
Yeah, Walt Disney himself was problematic. We've talked about that on the show before. And Disney has done their best to step away from that. And we're going to kind of see how well they've done that, or at least their attempts. All of these have been good-natured attempts. We're just going to talk from our perspective how good they are.
Yeah, where they went right, where we think that they could improve in future. Some, I think, will probably get their point across better than others. But we did want to start with what was originally kind of a personal request from today's guest, who you will remember from Tron Legacy. Adam is back with us. Say hello, Adam.
Hello, Adam.
I love a good George Burns reference. So, you want to tell us why you were so keen to talk about Princess and the Frog personally?
Well, first off, I love the movie deeply. It is a wonderful movie, and I am as some of you know, I am a musician. I play jazz. I play jazz trombone. And the soundtrack to this movie is incredible, and I think the story is great, and I think it's important to finally have representation among the black representation among the Disney princesses. Mm-hmm. And this being the first African-American Disney princess, I thought was important. And it is my second favorite princess movie right after Millennial Angst, the motion picture. also known as Frozen 2.
Yeah. That movie definitely was just peak millennial. Everything about Frozen 2 is just peak millennial.
So this movie itself has a lot of controversy around it, even when it came out. Let's talk about the name. The original name of this movie was The Frog Princess. And that was a book that was very similar to this movie, to the point where they actually had to credit the book at the end of the movie.
Disney has done that a couple of times. Not that they're the only studio that's done it by far, but there's lots of those in Hollywood of like, somebody read this book a long time ago and kind of tried to do the copyright-free version, and it didn't work so well.
Yeah. There was also the original name of the princess was Maddie, which a lot of black groups said sounded too close to Mammy, and that's the last time I'm going to say that phrase on this show.
Yeah.
A lot, and the fact that the princess character was supposed to be a maid for a rich white man, the same Big Daddy character that we have in the movie. That no, they cut that really quick. Changing her character, her motivation, to have to be a waitress and an aspiring cook, which is a much better representation of. Have you ever had New Orleans food? Seriously?
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. Music and food, New Orleans.
Yeah.
And the fact that they worked with several black representation groups, even bringing Oprah Winfrey on as a consultant, and have her be in the movie. We'll talk about that.
Yeah.
So they did right. This is a situation where someone told them, you're doing this wrong. They listened and adjusted the story to be a better representation, which for Disney is rare. I mean, honestly, Walt would never have done that. He would have said, this is my vision. This is what I want the movie to be. I'm going to do it my way.
And that's how you wind up with Song of the South.
Yeah.
Well, another interesting thing is that this was set in New Orleans, and this film did not come out that long after Katrina. Yeah, I mean, it was in production, basically.
Yeah, that was another thing. How can you do this movie without it? But it's like, I mean, someone on the staff was a really big fan of New Orleans and wanted to write a love letter to New Orleans. And especially with Katrina, I think that was a better, more of a motivator.
And it definitely is a love letter to New Orleans. I mean, the city is beautiful on the screen in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I do think that I remember when they announced this and people were like, oh my goodness, they're gonna have, it's gonna be a black-led movie, the heroine's gonna be black, and there was a question. I remember there being a question for some time about whether or not Tiana would officially be added to the official Disney princess group. And I remember, I mean, my memory may be faulty, so correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember Disney very quickly going like, no, she is very definitely going to be in the Disney princess lineup. And
she was the first new princess to be added since the Disney Renaissance.
Yeah, that too. I think the last one before her was Pocahontas, was it?
Mulan.
Yeah,
which,
that's right.
I still object to Mulan being a Disney princess since she's not royal, but that's a discussion for another time.
Warrior princess.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was the first new princess to be added to the, and then you would eventually get Merida and Moana, and eventually added to the princess team. But this was pretty much right after the promotion for the movie ended. They straight up added her into the princess line.
I think there was a big ceremony at Disney World.
They did, yes. You can actually find footage of this on YouTube of Tiana's coronation. And there was, you get your usuals. Oh, why do we need a black princess? Disney, SJW. Ugh. And it's like, it's
because you people are saying that.
Exactly.
Because those kind of racist people are saying that. As long as you keep saying, well, why do we need a black this or an Asian that or a gay whatever, we're gonna keep doing it until you shut up.
Yeah.
And then after. Because it's fun and awesome, and the more the better.
It's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Although, I've heard people saying that Elsa is the first gay Disney princess.
I mean, I hope...
Nothing on screen yet. We'll see.
I hope they go that way, and there was already sort of blink and you miss it gay representation in that film.
Yeah.
In the first Frozen, because there is a gay male couple and their children, but it's easy to miss it and all, because unfortunately Disney still wants to bow to the whims of China. Yeah. And as long as they want to bow to the whims of China, it's gonna be an uphill road for gay rights.
Yeah.
Also, a little bit for black rights.
Yeah.
I know that there was some concern that this movie would not play well overseas.
Even in America, the movie did not draw gangbusters. I mean, I should have it up here. What movies did it open up against?
I know it was originally supposed to go up against the Alvin and Chipmunks Squeakquel. And darn you for making me say that. But they moved it to kind of avoid that. Mm-hmm. I don't really remember kind of what else was coming out that same year. But it was, let's see, it seems that it was the 5th highest grossing animated film of 2009.
This isn't bad.
But it's not Disney good.
Yeah, exactly. That's Illumination good.
It did outgross other Disney hand-drawn animated movies from that time. It did better than Emperor's New Groove. It did better than Atlantis Lost Empire, Treasure Planet, Brother Bear, and Home on the Range. But a lot of people were also comparing it as far as how it did in the box office versus how they expected it to do to kind of The Great Mouse Detective. And if you remember that one, you remember that while it wasn't a bomb, it really didn't do that great.
But like any Disney film that doesn't do great at all, it has a cult following.
Yeah, that is true. This film does have a lot of really dedicated fans. I mean, Adam is one of them, of course. Yeah. But
and my wife and I dressed up as Ray and Evangeline for an event at Disneyland one year. So.
And yeah, the characters are still in the park. You can meet Tiana at Disneyland on the riverboat, which is perfect.
Yep.
I just wish they would have Naveen there with her, but beggars can't be choosers.
Occasionally they bring out the princes on super busy days. We've met Tiana and Naveen, and they're always fun because they get really funny and clever actors to play them. Especially Naveen. Naveen is a cut-up.
Well, Naveen is a very comical character in the film, so you need someone with a good with good wit. And of course, Dr. Facilier himself walks around New Orleans Square,
played by an array of very, very, very handsome men.
I do feel bad for any actor that they get to do Facilier in the parks, though, because
they cannot sound like Keith David.
Yeah, what can you do? It's like, hi, you're gonna play a Keith David character. I'd be like, nope.
The actors do not try to do Keith David's voice, and I thank them for it.
Yeah, each one generally has their own take on the character.
Keith David has that very deep voice that you cannot imitate.
But even other men with deep voice, and even other black men with deep voices, like it's just, you can't touch Keith David in that same way. Like, it's a very specific and unmistakable voice.
Yep. So
and perfect for this role.
Exactly.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and this is another thing that they brought back some Disney legends for this one, like the same people who directed The Little Mermaid.
Yeah.
Directed this movie. So if you're gonna, and this was the first 2D animated film since Home on the Range, and they actually tracked down and brought back most of their old 2D animation after Eisner kind of shut down that division. So we got to bring them up again. Lasseter. This was Lasseter's idea. Last time I'll say that name on this episode.
Yeah.
This era is going to be a bit iffy because we do have to bring up him because he was the head of the studio at the time.
Yeah.
Anyway, so this was his idea to bring back 2D animation, and that was the plan. It was 2D animated movie, 3D animated movie, 2D animated movie, 3D animated movie, and that was the original plan until Winnie the Pooh bombed. As we mentioned that last week with Luke, because it ran up against the last Harry Potter movie.
Yeah.
And even
that's
even that is a taboo thing to say now.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll
2020's not been a great year, y'all.
No.
I don't know if anybody's noticed that, but I'm gonna go out on a limb and say not a great year for a lot of people.
So anyway, moving on.
I do believe back during production there was pressure from the studio, even when they were well into production, to pivot the movie into 3D animation as opposed to 2D animation. Like even after they'd started animating.
Yeah, they were probably already used to it, and just we can get this done quicker that way. And even when it came out, there was a lot of, I wouldn't say pushback, but at that point people were already used to every animated movie being CG, that a 2D animated movie, they didn't know how to react to it. One person I remember saying this that it looked like a direct-to-video sequel to something, and it's like, really? This is great animation. This is way better, but the direct-to-video sequels were all 2D, and I'm guessing that person, probably young, only saw 2D animated movies as direct-to-video sequels.
I will say that in the kind of 3D, 2D kind of thing, the other big Disney movie that came out this year, and I totally forgot about it until just now, is that earlier that year, Up.
Yeah.
So.
And then 2 weeks later, Avatar.
Yeah.
And Disney
I mean, people were kind of. I'm not going to say Disney'd out necessarily, and of course Avatar wasn't Disney then.
No, but it was still 3D animation mostly.
Yeah.
But people were being wowed by, the beauty of 3D animation. So, maybe there was something like that when kids saw the 2D animated commercials, they were like, I don't know. I mean, I really don't. We were all adults by the time this came. So, we have a different viewpoint on that. But
2009, which is considered the beginning of the current era, which many people, I believe even Disney themselves, refer to this as the revival era, because it was a swing back into that Disney Renaissance style.
I'm just gonna say it, that we revived the Disney princess line with a black woman, and she doesn't get the credit she deserves for it.
True.
Tiana
is sadly one of the lowest selling Disney princess dolls. She's in the top 10 of 14.
Yeah. Well, you want to talk about who they got in the cast for this thing?
Yeah, let's move on to the. Oh, we do need to talk about one more thing before we move on. We did talk about the music by Randy Newman.
Yes, I love Randy Newman.
And, Randy Newman started with Pixar, doing Toy Story and all them. I think this is the first actual Disney movie he did. That was straight Disney, not a Pixar thing. I might be wrong on that.
I think it might have been. Adam's about to hate me.
You don't like Randy Newman?
I love Randy Newman. I do not like Randy Newman as a film composer.
I can agree with you there.
I
like him as a songwriter.
Randy Newman wrote one of my favorite songs of all time. I Think It's Gonna Rain Today. Beautiful song. I love it. I love every version of it I've ever heard. Nina Simone does an amazing version of it. Short People, always a classic. Tons of other songs I could name. I love Randy Newman as a songwriter, except for when he's doing it for movies. It just feels like he's like 30% of his talent goes into these movies. They all feel very samey. And Randy Newman's strength was always that he kind of wrote different styles. Mm-hmm. But ever since he got into Pixar and Disney and, started doing film songs, they all sound the same. It all kind of sounds like, you got a friend in me, and I'm almost there. It's like, it just all kind of blends together for me personally. That being said, I absolutely love the scoring, like just the jazz music, and I love the performance of the band. Really great stuff in there, but the songs in this one for me, like I said, it just felt like phoning it in for Randy Newman.
I love the opening number in this movie because it's Dr. John singing, and I love Dr. John. He's a New Orleans legend.
Yeah, that is true.
Incredible.
I'm glad that they got Dr. John and not Randy Newman singing this one.
Yes.
Oh, so true.
I mean, Randy Newman does show up as a cameo in the movie.
Mm-hmm. But Randy Newman's voice would not have done this song justice.
No.
Yeah. No, I mean, all of the singers did a good song. Did good stuff. I will say, I think my favorite song is Friends on the Other Side.
Yes.
I think it's an excellent villain song. Almost There is kind of catchy. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it does kind of stick in your head. After you watch the movie, you hum it for a couple of days.
My Belle Evangeline is a beautiful song. The only song I don't like in this movie is When We're Human. The music is great, the lyrics just doesn't, it feels forced.
Yeah.
Because they have to force the word human into it.
Human is not a good word for songs.
No.
It didn't work in Beauty and the Beast with human again, I don't think.
Yeah.
And it's just not a great lyric.
Yeah. But, again, there's some good songs in here. Let's go back. Let's backtrack and try to get back into the cast here. Anika Noni Rose as Tiana, a Broadway performer herself, and was in Dreamgirls with another person who was up for this role in Jennifer Hudson.
Yeah. I remember at the time that that Jennifer Hudson's name was the front runner in all of the press. Like, Jennifer Hudson's going to be a Disney princess.
I also heard Alicia Keys was up for this role, or at least wanted to be in this role.
She would have killed the singing part.
The acting,
I'm not sure how she would have done with the acting, but
one thing I like with this movie is that all the actors are also the singing voices of the characters.
Yeah,
no stunt voices. Yeah,
no stunt voices. So getting an actual, going back to that original Renaissance formula of getting a Broadway actor to do the singing and speaking voice of the characters. That was a great, a great thing they did. And
they got several Broadway veterans in here, and I am a fan of that. Do that more, Good job, Disney.
So yeah, let's talk about Tiana, the waitress, who has that dream of opening a restaurant, and her dream is, working hard, and they paint her as a workaholic, pretty much. She has 2 jobs. She doesn't have time to hang out with her friends or do anything, and pretty much everyone around her is telling her to kind of loosen up and don't focus all on your work, or you're gonna miss everything else that's around you. And Tiana's kind of like, no, I gotta work, I gotta chase my dream. It's the only way I'm going to get my dream. And that is to the character's benefit and detractment.
Yeah.
At least to me.
I mean, are we going there yet?
No, we'll just get through the character. We'll just get through the actors first, but we'll, getting a little sidetracked there. But let's get.
Yeah, I got something to say on that, but
Yeah, we'll
save it for the plot.
Yeah. Bruno Campos as Prince Naveen, Brazilian actor. We're never told where Moldonia is,
but they do apparently speak Portuguese.
Yes.
Because he does use a bit of Portuguese in there.
Yeah. So you get, another character of color. There was controversy around here as well, as a lot of people were upset that the Black Princess did not end up with a Black Prince. But, another character of color.
We don't actually know what the racial background of Naveen's family is, and I think that to say, well, because he's from Brazil, he can't also be... he's definitely not a Black American character, but that erases, I think, the history of slave populations brought to South America as well. All throughout South America, Central America, the Caribbean, the slave trade did not stop at the American border.
Yep.
All of the Americas, not just the U.S. border I meant, but all of the American continent, was touched by slavery. And a lot of the people, there's a lot of African descent, slave descent groups throughout South America and in Brazil. So we don't know kind of they're royal, so you kind of assume that maybe given the history of colonialism in South America, if they are from South America, I don't know.
I always got the impression they were Mediterranean or somewhere on the Iberian Peninsula or something like that, some small kingdom somewhere in that part of Europe.
Yeah, we don't know. It's kind of it seems like they're very much going for this is not a white character in the coloration.
He does have a tan.
Yeah, but it is a little more ambiguous than Tiana and her family, who are very definitely Black Americans and probably descendants of slaves, of course.
Yeah. Let's go up. We talked about him.
Let's talk about Bruno Campos, because he actually had a really interesting career. He was really well known in Brazil. And then he came over to America, and his biggest role in America was in Nip Tuck. And then he did Princess and the Frog, immediately hey, you're a Disney prince. Awesome. What are you going to do next? I'm going to quit acting and go into law. That's
okay.
He stopped in the early 2010s. Not long after this movie was released. This movie is the last film role. He had a couple of television roles just after that were probably filmed, just after doing that. But he went into law and went into a law firm in New York. I don't know if he's still there. I couldn't quite find specifics. It does seem that he may have gone into healthcare, environmental, and toxic tort law for corporations. Yeah.
Well, since he quit acting, that explains why Frog Naveen didn't talk in Ralph Breaks the Internet.
Yeah, I mean he's retired and gone on to something else. So
his last acting credit is Prince Naveen in a video game, and that's in 2011. And I'm guessing that was probably recorded way before 2011.
Yeah, probably when he was doing the movie.
Yeah, it may even be reused audio that they just have to credit him for. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he's kind of out of the game now. So.
You want to go on?
Yep.
Keith David as Dr. Facilier.
We've already talked about Keith David so much, especially in the Gargoyles episode and, a couple of other things. Absolute legend, and really, really deserving of Disney villain status.
Yeah.
Like, who better? Come on.
And it's a great villain, too.
Such a good villain and such a good song.
Yep.
Oh, he just nails that song. Oh, so good.
Yeah, moving on. Michael Leon Woolley as Louis the Alligator. Obviously based off Louis Armstrong. They even name drop Louis Armstrong in the movie.
Yeah, this is at least the second big Disney character to be based off Louis Armstrong, I think.
You're thinking of Louis Prima.
Oh, no, yeah, you're right. I am. Huh.
The other trumpet playing Louis who played jazz.
Trumpet playing Louis. Yes, you're correct. No, we're all so sleep deprived right now. But yeah, okay, so Woolley is also another theater actor. And if you love playing video games, you may know him as Judge Grady on one of the radio stations in Grand Theft Auto 4. So, but other than that, he's Broadway. He was in Ain't Misbehavin' and The Wiz and all on Broadway. He was in Broadway revival of The Music Man. Really, really great theater actor. Not a lot of film credits from what I can tell, but he was also in Dreamgirls. He has the solo in Taking the Long Way Home, which is he's kind of a more minor character in that. He's not one of the huge stars.
And side note, Lewis's trumpet playing is done by Terence Blanchard, who is a jazz legend. And in 2018 was nominated for the Academy Award for Best Original Score for BlacKkKlansman.
Awesome.
Nice.
A great movie.
He's an incredible trumpet player.
Yeah. BlacKkKlansman, a great movie. I highly recommend it. If you've never seen it. Not a Disney movie, won't be talking about it. Good movie. Go watch it. Deals with a lot of the same issues that we're doing this series on.
You want to keep going?
Yep.
Jim Cummings as Raymond the Firefly, but his friends call him Ray.
Yeah, we've talked about Jim Cummings before, current voice of Winnie the Pooh and Tigger.
Jim Cummings to me in Disney productions always like, hey, it's that voice.
Yeah.
I've heard him in so many things.
He has a credit list a mile long. I will say something about his voice for Ray, though. We didn't really talk about this part of Jim Cummings' background last time we talked about him in depth, but it is important to this character. Jim Cummings used to live in New Orleans and worked on a riverboat. And I have heard interviews with him where he goes into detail about where the voice of Ray came from, and Ray is an exact impression of a Cajun riverboat captain he used to work for. So Ray is just him doing a voice of this guy that he worked for in like the late 70s, early 80s on a riverboat in New Orleans.
Some of the best cartoon character voices are just based on people the voice actor knows.
Absolutely. So that's why I'm going to there is a voice I'm going to take issue with here in a second, but I will say that Ray's voice, I am of course not Cajun, but it is slightly more authentic to the Cajun accent, because it is based on an actual specific person who was Cajun and had an incredibly thick according to Jim Cummings' almost incomprehensible Cajun accent.
And of course, Ray is named after Ray Charles. So that's another. The animals in this movie are named after famous musicians, and I like that.
There's a weird coding, though, that the animals are named after black musicians, which is interesting.
Yeah. We'll get to that.
Yep.
Jennifer Cody as Lottie. Charlotte LaBeouf, Tiana's best friend. And
I love Charlotte.
The voice I take issue with. I love this character, but the voice was, it was nails on a chalkboard. It's Dick Van Dyke.
That's probably intentional.
This is Dick Van Dyke level accent work here. I'm just gonna say, sorry.
Overdoes that Southern Belles type of voice.
But it's not even. It's like a. Oh, how to describe it to somebody who actually, as somebody who actually lives in the South, is like, it's like if Scarlett O'Hara had a head cold. And Scarlett O'Hara, bless Vivian Leigh, but that's not an accent that ever existed in real life. I don't know where she got that from. But Scarlett O'Hara does not sound like any Southern person you will ever meet unless they are specifically trying to sound like Scarlett O'Hara. And I've met a couple of girls that tried to do that. They wanted to kind of put on airs and act like they were genteel or whatever. And then, you'd go home and the rest of their family would sound like the cast of Honey Boo Boo. So
I do declare.
I get, but yeah, you would have. I did know some girls, some girls who were aiming for. There are a few very Southern Belle sororities. If you live in the South, there are certain sororities that the girls of good Southern breeding, and of course they're all extremely white. Very racist organizations, most of them, but they do kind of use that Scarlett O'Hara thing and honestly, this voice sounded like one of those girls, but it's in the wrong time period for it. And it's like, maybe if you did like a modern girl and kind of made fun of her for trying to be someone she's not, but the actress was born in New York. She's another Broadway. She started off as Dainty June in Gypsy, a name I hate saying, but there you go. That's the name of the show. She's done Cats. She was in the chorus for Beauty and the Beast on Broadway. Lots of others. Okay,
but her character doesn't get to sing in this movie. Which is
weird.
She's
primarily known as a dancer, I think. But Dainty June does sing, so I'm sure she does have some sort of singing voice if that's where she got her start. And I think everybody in Cats has to sing. So, I'm sure she can, but it seems that she's more known as a dancer, I think. And she's done a couple of other voice acting roles. She was in a Nickelodeon production called The Winx Club.
Oh, yeah.
Which I don't really know much about. But, she's got a good career. Good for her. But, yeah, it's another one that she's not a household name because she's not in a lot of, film and television. She's primarily theatrical.
She's a journeyman Broadway person.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. Jennifer Lewis is Mama Odie.
Yeah. Jennifer Lewis, another black actress. She has been in Beaches. She was one of Bette Midler's characters' backup singers in Beaches, so she was kind of on screen a lot in the back. Sister Act, what's love got to do with it? Preacher's Wife, she's been in a lot of really good movies. But does a great job in this one.
I love her performance of her song, Dig a Little Deeper. It's just phenomenal.
Yeah, I did really, really like that. That one, as far as the performance of it. So, I like that they did such a job to get a lot of black actors in there. This is for Disney especially, this is a very black heavy cast, I guess, as far as the actors. So, good for them.
All right, let's move on. Peter Bartlett as Lawrence, Naveen's valet, and we'll get into more of Lawrence as we talk about the plot.
Every royal worth their salt has to have a British butler.
Yeah.
Yeah. He also has a lot of Broadway credits. He was a replacement for Cogsworth in the stage version of Beauty and the Beast. I'm not sure if he ever really did the thing, but he's been in Drowsy Chaperone and Something Rotten, and he did a stint in a revival of Rodgers and Hammerstein's Cinderella.
Another character, and his character does not sing.
Yeah, also does not sing, but presumably he's got a voice decent for Broadway, because some of these are definitely singing roles. That
was a missed opportunity that Lottie and Lawrence didn't get a song.
Yeah, that would have been very funny.
Their own little anti-love song or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Again, not a lot of film and TV work. On TV, he's definitely guest actor in one episode and then leaves. Although he did have a very long stint on One Life to Live. From the 90s into the 2010s, it looks like. And he was also in the film version of The Producers. In there as well. But kind of very few live action, things, and mostly theater.
Let's move on. Now we're getting into the big names in this movie. John Goodman as Big Daddy LaBeouf.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about John Goodman before on here.
He's Sully.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a history with Disney, a history with voice acting, and also, of course, from television, from Roseanne and, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Doing really good on the Connors now, which I'm loving. I guess you could call that a Disney property. It's on ABC.
Yep.
So I don't know what we can say about John Goodman that hasn't been said. I mean, good for him. And he does a good job as this character.
He's a legend. It's John Goodman.
Yeah, it's just John Goodman, yeah.
And we mentioned her before. Oprah Winfrey as Eudora, Tiana's mother.
Yeah, again, there's nothing I can tell you about Oprah Winfrey. I mean, you know everything about Oprah Winfrey. And she does such a good job in the role. It's not a huge role, but she does start the movie.
Yeah. And she's so very gentle.
Oh, it's so good.
She definitely has a great mom voice.
She does. Interesting for somebody who's never actually been a mother herself, but she does have a very soothing, mom voice.
And you can probably see Oprah Winfrey identifying with Tiana, and they're both sort of similar characters in Working Hard for Success.
Yeah. I mean, Oprah's story is legendary about coming from basically nothing into owning the entire world.
She was just a poor newscaster that just took over the world.
Yeah.
Let's move on here. We talked about this guy, Terrence Howard as James, Tiana's father. It's a small role, but it's there.
We talked about him and all of the good and the bad, unfortunately, when we discussed Iron Man. So not much more to say.
I thought he was pretty good in this movie, though.
He did very well in the part. I've never once had an issue with him as an actor. Excellent actor.
And it's a very small role. Like 5 minutes.
I will say that it is suggested by the film that he was a World War I
soldier.
Mm-hmm. However, what exactly caused his death? I mean, it's Disney, so there's got to be a dead parent somewhere.
Yep. The medal that's hanging on his picture, I looked it up, is the Distinguished Service Cross, which is usually awarded posthumously to people who had exceptional valor on the battlefield.
Mm.
So he
probably saved a bunch of his fellow soldiers and died in the process.
Yeah. So I will say that the history of the service of Black Americans in the military is again a very kind of fraught topic. Mm. We have not treated our Black service people well at all, even to this day. Mm-hmm. For a country that has so much fetishism around the military, we still want to.
The country doesn't treat any of its veterans especially well, but especially Black veterans.
Yeah, I mean it's 100 times worse easily for any person of color who was in the military, but especially our Black service members. So there is a history. I believe in World War I we still had a segregated. I don't believe we integrated until World War II or after. I think it was in the 50s, so I think it was after World War II that the American services were integrated on the battlefield.
It began to be desegregated during World War II just for expediency's sake, but officially it wasn't until the 50s when it really officially started being desegregated.
Yeah, and there are, of course, during the segregated forces, there are, of course, lots and lots of stories of Black units being sent in as cannon fodder to pave the way for the white units to come in after. So a lot of unfortunate and awful history, but it does us no good to turn away from that.
Yeah. The rest of the cast is made up of regular voice actors: D. Bradley Baker, Corey Burton, Kevin Michael Richardson, Frank Welker.
Some guy named Frank.
Guy named Frank. Yeah.
And possibly the best fitting and oddest cameo for a Disney movie, Emerald Lagasse.
Yeah, that one is just what? But
as an alligator.
Yeah. I mean, okay. Go get it, Emerald. I'd be an alligator in a Disney film. Yeah, I'd be an alligator in a Disney film too.
That's what I'm trying to say. It fits because of New Orleans, but you think he would have him play a chef or something. You could have him, I thought he was going to play the fry cook. He would have been a better option, but they had him play the gator.
I believe he's the gator that's talking about he's going to fry up and eat the frogs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, how does a gator fry a frog? I don't know.
I don't know. Tiana manages to cook like an entire etouffee, so whatever.
Cartoon.
Yeah.
And mince mushrooms with a rock.
I think you could theoretically do that with a sharp enough rock.
Yeah. So you want to get into the plot?
Yeah, we got to do it at some point.
All right, movie starts in 1912 with Tiana and Lottie as kids, as Tiana's mom reads them the Frog Prince, and they have a little bit of a torture the cat moment.
I feel bad for that poor kitten.
Yeah.
Yeah, poor.
And yeah, and you do get the slow reveal of the rich white neighborhood and the black poor neighborhood, as the pristine white houses kind of get darker and smaller as we get to Tiana goes home from seeing her friend Lottie.
And also note that Big Daddy is related to the sugar trade, which has its own horrific history.
Yeah, I'm pretty certain Big Daddy's own Big Daddy probably owned slaves.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I mean, if you're in the sugar trade at that point in time, there's no way to do that without slave labor in America.
What, 50-something years after the Civil War there? So definitely.
Yeah. This would definitely be like first generation, maybe, of freed blacks in the South. In that sense, like in a large scale. Not that there weren't free blacks in the South, of course, but as a large contingency, I guess.
Yeah. And we do see Tiana's knack for cooking, and she cooks a big pot of gumbo. It's a nice little funny moment where her dad is kind of teasing, "I'm going to eat this. You better make sure this is good." And she kind of stops him at the last second and puts that Tabasco sauce in there.
Yeah, whenever you're cooking gumbo, I mean, extra hot sauce never hurts.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, whenever you're cooking anything, extra hot sauce never hurts.
I agree 100%.
I love my hot sauce. Generally not Tabasco, though, but I get it. New Orleans.
Yeah, I'm guessing the Tabasco in 1912 is probably better than the Tabasco you get now.
Yeah. I hope so.
And it's so good that, her dad just shares it with the entire neighborhood. Even the other neighbors start bringing food that they made, and they have a nice little sort of a cookout.
It's a stone soup kind of moment.
Yeah. I got some hush puppies, and it's like, yeah, it's a nice neighborhood gathering moment. They're all eating the gumbo.
But I will say that that is very authentic in a lot of ways to historical black culture in the South. That kind of everybody get out on the porch and share what you got kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Especially when it's too hot to be indoors.
Yeah, and I'll even say, I mean, from my own experience and from, friends and from all that kind of stuff, that, I can drive through the predominantly black neighborhoods in my area, and on any given day, as long as it's not storming outside, everybody's gathered on porches and hanging out, and there's a large social aspect to those communities that you do not typically see in the white communities in the South, regardless of class. While they will, I'm just going to speak here of the Southern experience for just a second. Even though the poor white community will not admit it, poor whites and poor blacks are very similar in culture in the South. They are not similar in how they are treated by society, of course, but similar kind of cultural values, similar, definitely culinary values, it's similar ways of celebrating things and doing things, and unfortunately the wedge of racism has kept those two communities apart. And they are two communities that are not equally looked down on, but both looked down on by richer white society. Mm-hmm. In the South, it is very pronounced. And it has always saddened me that those communities are not closer because of the way racism still pervades. And so, I see, even as, a white girl, I see nothing of my experience when I look at Lottie. Mm-hmm. Nothing. There's nothing there I can relate to. But I relate very much to Tiana because I grew up broke in the South. And, that kind of everybody get together and cook, and here's kind of a community potluck and sharing with your neighbor and, eating outside and all that kind of stuff. Like, that was a very, I recognized that scene. And when we go back to the primarily white communities in this movie, I don't recognize that scene. That's never been my life, So I hate that the racism of the the poor whites got to look down on somebody or else they might rise up against us. So let's tell them that you might be poor and white, but at least you're not poor and black. It still angers me to this day. So.
Yep.
All right. Let's try to get back into the movie.
But more hot sauce and gumbo.
Yeah, hot sauce and gumbo. So yeah, we kind of fast forward 14 years, 1926. And we said before, Tiana working 2 jobs, trying to save up money to follow her and her dad's dream of owning their own restaurant. And that's
one of the older Disney princesses too. She is roughly the same age as Elsa would be later.
Yeah.
And a bit older than most of the Disney princesses.
She is advertised as being 19 years old.
Yep.
So yeah. So definitely on the older. On the older side, because most Disney princesses are 16. I think Snow White was 14.
Yeah.
I think Snow White was closer to 12 at some point.
Yeah.
I think officially now the current age is 14.
Still not great.
She's still not great.
Yeah, she's working 2 jobs. She's working pretty much every second she's awake to save up money for this restaurant. And we see the scene at the diner. There's her friend saying, "Hey, let's go dancing tonight. Let's have some fun." And she's like, "Nah, I gotta work. I gotta do this. I'm so close to accomplishing my dream. I can't stop now." And her friends kind of say, Tiana never has time to hang out with us. She doesn't, she's too busy working to enjoy life. And that, I mentioned this earlier, that's kind of her arc in this movie of she's so busy focusing on the dream that there's no time for anything else. No time to hang out with friends, no time to go dancing, no time for a boyfriend, no time for anything other than work.
I kind of feel that really hard right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that is a very relatable if you didn't grow up with money, and if you don't have money now, as adults.
I do like that she's depicted as being hyper competent at her job though.
Yeah. Yes.
She's like the lone waitress at both assumingly both diners, and she can take care of every table. And amazingly strong to carry all those plates on top of each other.
Yeah, shout out to wait staff out there, because that is not an easy job. And yeah. I've never personally done it because I am not capable due to my health, but I have nothing but respect for anybody who's ever worked food service. They are my favorite people.
Tiana has perfect balance.
Yeah, but I mean, you've seen, especially women who work and who have been forced to do that in high heels.
Yeah.
Mm.
I mean, the balance and strength of some of those women might as well be an Olympic gymnast. Bravo.
Yeah.
Not a job I could do, I don't think.
And yeah, it's a very skilled job. Miss me with any talk of unskilled labor. It is a very skilled job.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, I just go ahead with that because I want to change the topic after that.
Yeah, I mean, it's like we're talking about, all of her friends are kind of making fun of her for not having any fun. Even the cook at the diner is kind of saying, you're never gonna get that restaurant. Nothing's gonna happen. It's never stated, but it's like, people like us don't get that, sort of like that. It's never straight up said in those words, but I assume it's implied.
Well, yeah, the racism is very heavily implied of and the closest they ever come to say it is the 2 men who say, well, a little woman of your background.
Yeah.
That's the closest we ever get to saying, black women don't get to own things.
Yeah.
But I want to talk about, since we're talking about her working toward her dream, let's talk about Disney princesses and dreams. Because the Disney princess with the dream is as old as the Disney princess.
Yep.
Yep.
But Tiana is the first Disney princess who's told, like, wishing for something isn't enough, you gotta bust your butt. All the rest of the Disney princesses are kind of told, like, you know, and we see it with Lottie. Like, Lottie's always like, just wish on a star. And then Tiana's dad's like, well, wish on a star and then work really hard and it might come true.
This is the same company that had a song called When You Wish Upon a Star, Your Dreams Come True.
Yeah, a dream is a wish your heart makes.
Yes.
When you're fast asleep, you don't even have to be awake. Just think about it in your dreams, and it's just going to come true because you are perfect and beautiful and wonderful, and you deserve all the good things. Meanwhile, the black girl gets told, you can wish all you want, and it's not going to happen. If you bust your butt and you're really, really lucky, you might get something eventually.
Yeah.
Which is more realistic. I mean, I've always had my problems with Disney just telling kids that, like, you know, everything works out happy in the end, like, because that's not true, and I'm too much of an Eeyore to believe that.
Yeah.
But Tiana's the first, and so far kind of only Disney princess that gets told, like, you don't deserve it just because you're a good person. You got to do it all, not necessarily on your own, but it's implied on your own.
Yeah.
And I don't know how I feel about that.
I could see that being a sort of a bad message, like you said, you know, the white princesses, all they have to do is wish and their prince will come and they'll live happily ever after. But the black princess has to work her fingers to the bone and still have her dream ripped away from her.
And only get it because of, like, luck and magic.
Yeah, and you know, 8-foot tall alligator.
Yeah. I mean, so in a way, I kind of wonder what the real lesson behind that ends up being. I think its heart is in a good place. I think everything about this movie attempted to be very good.
There's some good. I think the general gist that I get of Tiana's arc is, yes, work for your dream, work for it, but don't forget to have fun. Which Tiana has to learn to have fun in this movie. And you know, she said, I don't have time to dance. I don't have time for anything else. I need to work. And I get that. And I also get the message of, you know, why is she the only princess that has to work for her dream rather than just having it happen to her?
Well, I wonder if part of that just is because she's not born into royalty like most of the princesses.
True. I mean, even Mulan had to earn the respect of the other soldiers.
But, you know, go back to something like Cinderella, who was forced into servitude and hard work, and was diligent and competent. But when it came time to get the prince, what happened? Like, oh, fairy godmother.
Yeah.
Fairy godmother's here. You don't have to work anymore. Because you are good and beautiful and therefore deserving.
Meanwhile, even the fairy godmother figure in this movie says, I'm not going to give it to you.
Yeah, you got to go out and figure it out on your own.
You have to figure out what what you really want. You think you know what you want, but you have to figure out what you really want.
What you really, really want.
And she says that to all the three main characters in this movie. Like, Naveen thinks he knows what he wants, and Lewis thinks he knows what he wants, but they're trying to say, no, you don't know what you want.
And I think that this movie would, at least this part of this movie, I don't want to say like the entire movie, but I think this plot point would go over better with me if Disney had kind of kept it up. I mean, they've become better about it after this movie. In that now princesses really have to go on an adventure and accomplish something on their own.
Look at Anna in Frozen 2.
Yeah.
Or Moana.
Merida.
Yeah. Merida. I mean, they're getting better, but there is something about Tiana and the idea of physical labor. Not just being good at something or accomplishing something or adventuring, but the amount of focus on physical labor as a virtue for Tiana strikes me in a very weird way, considering how the U.S. has treated the black community as a source of labor.
Well, and it's not just physical labor. She is working herself to the bone without sleep because, she comes home from one job, lays down for literally 5 seconds, and is immediately up to go to the next job.
Yeah.
Like, that's not good for your body.
Yeah, no. And you know that her father was the exact same way.
Yeah, it's stated explicitly in the movie.
Yeah.
By Dr. Facilier.
And Dr. Facilier is, I mean, I always love it when a villain is still a villain, but kind of right.
Yeah, your father worked every day until he died, and what did he get for it? Nothing.
And if we are correct that he died in the war, he was working hard in the war just to get a bullet for it,
And probably not getting paid nearly as much as his white fellow soldiers.
Oh, definitely not. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I even then, there is something about the fact that, like, Tiana does everything right in this film as a human at the beginning of the film. She does everything right, and to an extreme. Mm-hmm. She has played the game they told her to play. And still what happens? It's like, well, you got outbid by somebody else and we gave it to him because presumably it's a white man.
It's the, you play the game and then they change the rules in the middle of the game.
Yeah. And there is something to be said about the denial of the quote-unquote American dream to the black community at large.
Yeah.
Granted, it has been denied to most of the white community as well, but even more so to an extremely egregious level to the black community. I mean, look at what happened to, so-called Black Wall Street in Tulsa.
Yeah.
You finally had black people owning stuff, and we dropped bombs on our own soil to stop them from having it. Mm-hmm. And that, maybe not to that extent, but that has happened so often. I mean, especially in the South at this time, black-owned businesses would run afoul of, a bunch of idiots wearing white sheets that would show up and break things or torch things or kill people.
And even from the government, they would have to follow the rules and regulations far more exactly than any white-owned business would have to. An inspector could come by and make up a violation on the spot to shut you down.
Yeah, and it, I feel bad for Tiana, and maybe being a princess of a foreign nation who everybody kind of knows about might have saved her from that toward the end of the film, but
Yeah.
It's I kind of hate it because it is so realistic. But also, when have Disney movies ever been realistic?
Yeah.
Why do the little black girls not get to go, well, if you just wish on a star and you're beautiful and pure, then you also get, why the first time black girls get to see themselves as a Disney princess is that the thing?
Yeah. I mean, the only other black princess before this would be, there was that version of Cinderella that had Brandy and in it. Do you remember?
Yeah. Their attempt at colorblind casting. So they had Whoopi Goldberg.
Whitney Houston was in it.
Whitney Houston. Victor Garber.
Yeah.
I forget the guy who played the prince, but he was Asian.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was trying to be just we will cast this part respective of race.
Yeah.
It got a lot of flack at the time.
Mm-hmm. It's not even on Disney Plus.
It's not. It was a good enough version of Rodgers and Hammerstein's Cinderella. Maybe not my favorite, but bless them, they all tried.
Mm-hmm. And on a TV movie budget.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Are you going to be Disney or are you not? Or are you going to be realistic?
Yeah.
And as much as I have kind of always, dinged Disney for the weird kind of morals of the early princess films. If you're going to be that company, then be that company for everybody. Be that no matter what you look like, you get the same message kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm glad that Tiana's there, and honestly, I like all the things that they try to say in the movie. Yes, you should not. Oh my goodness, please do not work yourself to the bone.
Mm-hmm.
Your employer doesn't care about you. They're not your family. Don't do that. But at the same time, you can't just sit around and wish things will get better.
Yeah.
You gotta do something to, well, like we said last week, keep moving forward.
Yeah.
But I don't know. There's just something that really hits me the wrong way about it.
It tries to be both.
It tries to be both. It tries to be the we don't want to gloss over the horrific racism that Tiana would face in this real world scenario, but at the same time, you're freaking Disney. When have you ever cared about realism?
Except they end up glossing over it really anyway, because aside from that one statement by the realtors, she doesn't really seem to experience a whole lot of discrimination otherwise.
I mean, it's kind of there in the background of the white people live in the good neighborhood and the black people live in the poor neighborhood, but yeah, there's not a lot of overt. So I don't know. So do we want to talk about the entrance of Naveen into the story?
I guess, and it's a half second, but Naveen and Tiana actually meet before they meet for a split second, and she kind of waves him off because she thinks he's another playboy, which he is.
She's right.
Yeah.
And Naveen, he's a prince. He's been cut off from his family's wealth because in his own words, he's a leech, and he needs money. He needs to get back. He needs to keep up the lifestyle he's used to, so he needs to marry a rich woman to keep up that lifestyle. And the richest woman in New Orleans is Lottie. So he's going to try to marry her. Or, as Lauren said, get a job, which he doesn't want to get a job because at the time he's lazy.
So do we consider Prince Naveen a person of color?
I would, personally, but that's just my view of it.
I mean, I think the film definitely wants us to think that.
I feel like he's coded that way.
Yeah, I think he's very coded that way.
But it's just sort of ambiguously brown rather than any sort of specific ethnicity.
And even it's not a full Brazilian accent he has.
No, he works a bit of French in there too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's as ambiguous as it can do without naming a specific country. This fictional country of Maldonia.
But he's definitely not colored in the same way that the white characters are, as far as painted in the animation.
He definitely has a tan.
Yeah. But you have a feeling that it's not a tan because he's been on vacation, you know?
Yeah.
It's
definitely not it's definitely not a I've been at the beach, but I'm a white guy tan.
Even Tiana says, you know, it doesn't matter what you are, you're a prince, Lottie will have you.
Which is a very loaded statement. Yeah. And I know that they kind of suggest, like, oh, it's because he's a frog at that point. But
no, she
is it though?
I mean, she straight up dates a man that looks like Naveen. This is when Lawrence looks like Naveen. So she's already into it, and she wants to marry the guy, mostly because he's a handsome prince.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't even think she would. The way that we're told to think about her, I'm not even sure she would need handsome. I think handsome is a bonus, but I think Prince is really all she wanted.
Well, she was, at the end of the movie, she's ready to wait 10 years for the 6-year-old brother to turn of age.
That's a little weird. Maybe not a good look on you, Lottie, but okay, so if we're reading Naveen as a person of color, what does that say about his portrayal being so different from every other Disney prince?
Yeah, I mean, we've kind of talked about Disney princes before, you know, for lack of a better term, best boy Eric.
Yeah, I mean, and I like Eric, but Disney princesses get the movie. Disney princes are window dressing.
Accessories.
Yeah. And
Prince
they don't
Charming and Prince Charming doesn't even have a name.
Yeah.
Well, no, Snow White's prince doesn't have a name. Prince Charming's name is actually Charming.
We have Prince Charming. We have the Prince. We have two princes that are literally named the Prince. One of them turns into a beast. The other married Cinderella.
Yeah, because Prince Adam's name came later.
Yes,
I think. Yeah.
That was years after the movie in an encyclopedia that Disney never really approved of. But it's there. They officially stamped it, but they never officially sanctioned it. It's weird like that. Anyway, but yeah, we have, and both princes really don't do much. It wasn't until Prince Philip that actually did something in Sleeping Beauty.
Yeah, but I mean, until you get to the Beast, I mean, Prince Eric does have a bit of a personality, and I will always defend him. Mm-hmm. Even in the Renaissance, there's not a lot about the prince as a character until you get to
Aladdin?
The Beast and Aladdin. I mean, the Beast does get a character arc, because he has to. Because, honestly, that's more his story than Belle's. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, I mean, Aladdin, but he's not a Disney prince, and also not white.
Yeah.
You know? But then you got Naveen, who, while he's an interesting character, and I like him, he's a playboy who talks about how many women he's been with, and is lazy and never wants to work.
Yeah, that's...
There's some stereotypes in there. But it's they're trying to make it feel like it's the rich, spoiled kid stereotype, but the fact that he has brown skin is always bothered me on that one.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you gotta think that all tropes are not completely interchangeable across all people.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, the lazy stoner white kid and the lazy stoner black kid in a movie are going to be two very different characters. Mm-hmm. You know? One's going to be like, oh, isn't that a comedic little chucklehead? One day he'll grow out of that, you know, marijuana usage and make something of himself. Perhaps he'll be, you know, a CEO one day, you know? Mm-hmm. The stoner black kid is, well, look at that lazy kid. He's going to end up in jail and break his mama's heart.
Yeah.
So even though it's the exact same thing, it's a lazy stoner kid who doesn't want to do anything but sit around, you know? But depending on what color you then put on him, there's a whole nother level to that, and I feel Naveen runs afoul of that.
Mm-hmm. And his arc in this movie is that he has to learn responsibility and pretty much grow up.
And the value of hard work.
Yeah.
And staying with one woman. I mean, there's so much coding there, and I don't want to see it, but it's there.
Yeah.
I don't think they intended it. I really don't. I really don't feel like there was any malice, but when we talk about systemic racism and a society steeped in white supremacy, that's what you get. You get a bunch of people that are like, well, of course, the brown guy is going to be the playboy who doesn't want to work and needs to learn the value of hard work and being monogamous with one woman who he stays with and marries legally.
Mm-hmm. I don't know how legal a voodoo wedding is, but
Well, they have the second wedding.
Yeah.
Right after that in a proper church.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, none of that native religion.
Yeah, you have to have the good white religion.
Yeah.
Which is from the Middle East. But, whatever.
That's a whole other can of worms.
Yeah. But, the thing is that I do like the character.
Yeah.
I mean, he's fun. I mean, you don't really like him as much during the beginning because he says a bunch of ignorant, weird stuff.
Chauvinistic thing, and
he is a bit sexist.
That's the point of that character, because he's supposed to be spoiled. You're not supposed to like him, and then he gets his character arc, and then you kind of see that okay, he's learning, he's understanding what he's supposed to do.
And he's got one of my least favorite film tropes. He makes a fat joke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the two of them in quick succession.
Yeah. Not liking that.
Again, you're not supposed to like him at that point anyway, but even kind of playing that with Lewis almost. Playing on Lewis's size.
Yeah. They do play on that a little bit in the swamp and
calls him my skinny friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean...
Speaking of skinny friends, when we meet Naveen, we also meet one of our villains for the film.
Yeah, we meet, are we talking, Lawrence or talking Dr. Facilier?
Yep.
Well, both, but I was meaning Lawrence.
Yes, Lawrence. The butler, the valet, the hired help, the one that is trying to get Naveen onto the responsibility path, but Naveen is not hearing it, and he's been pushed around by everyone he's ever known in his life, and takes that opportunity to just take over Naveen's life.
Oh, this gets into some really big, Get Out kind of territory.
Yeah.
I mean, for real.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, yes, I know that all the little valets and servants and side characters to Disney princes, have always been the kind of British pushover guy.
Yeah.
But again, you can't be colorblind because you're going to miss things like this, which is that it comes across as really weird that we don't really see Naveen treat Lawrence particularly horribly. I mean, he trips sometimes because he's carrying too many bags at once. I mean, dude, just make 2 trips.
Yeah.
He did throw him into a tuba.
Well, yeah. Wasn't that an accident, though? I can't remember.
Yes, it was an accident. They were dancing, and he
they were dancing, and he trips, and yeah. But then, like, Lawrence's entire motivation is, like, you know, all of the horrible way you've treated me. And I'm like, but we don't see that.
I think that's part of it, is that from his perspective, he is being treated horribly, but yeah, Naveen is just being a jerk to him, but he's not all that mean to him. And the thing is that a lot of it's his own perspective, and it's also Dr. Facilier kind of playing on Lawrence's own insecurities.
Yeah, but the way it comes across is it's a British accented white man being subservient to a man of color and hating the, ignominious position he has found himself in.
Yeah.
And then later on is technically in brownface.
Yep.
Yeah.
And like I said, this is some real Get Out sort of thing. It's like the white man craving the skin of the person of color for their own weird usage. I don't know.
I have not seen Get Out, but I will take your word for it.
Yes, I mean, spoilers for Get Out. Great movie, go watch it. But, that is kind of the point, is the weird fetishization of black bodies by white people. And that comes across a little in here, even though it was made years before.
Again, and like you said, I don't think they intended it for this way. It's just that's how it's going to be perceived by some people.
Yeah, and this is why people, when you hear, and I'm just going to quote here what I've heard black activists say, is that, the goal is not to be color blind. The goal is to see color and respect color and not really care and treat everybody equally in spite of color. Mm-hmm. But saying that you're color blind leads to a bunch of stuff like this. Like, I don't think they thought of it, because I think they just wrote a bunch of people and then assigned them races and voices and stuff, kind of not at random, but Mm-hmm. And I think they thought, like, well, the sidekick to the prince is always a pompous British white guy. But once you change there's in England there is a very strict thing about how dare a black person or a person of any color try to be better than a white person, like that serving as a person of color is so far beneath, someone of that station.
Several hundred years of colonization will do that.
Oh yeah, and I'm not saying it's really that much different in America, but we did get started by the best and brightest of colonial Britain, so we inherited that nonsense, but so I get that it was done without malice and without thinking, but meh.
Yeah, they really needed a couple of more people to kind of look over this and saying, I even think whatever activists and whatever groups they were working with kind of didn't see it this way. At least at this time, maybe. I don't know.
Well, also, if you're, say, Oprah, mm-hmm. and they give you a script, and you look at it, on paper, this doesn't seem bad. Because you haven't seen the character design, you haven't heard the voice. So if you're reading a script and it's just like, his underling wants to be the prince, well, that's a pretty common story. The person who wants to usurp the power of the prince. On paper, that's not a bad story. It's in the overlay of character design, of voice, of the fact that you don't really see Naveen treating him particularly horribly in the visuals.
Yeah, I mean, except he's dancing with him, even though Lawrence is, hey, we're here on a business trip, more or less, and Naveen is just trying to goof off.
Yeah,
it does seem like they definitely leaned more towards the tell, not show that part of their relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we only have Dr. Facilier's word for it, really.
And that's what I think it's just whatever insecurities that Lawrence has, and that Facilier is just playing up on them.
Yeah, has Lawrence really been kicked around by everybody, or is he just using that as an excuse for his own failings? We don't know.
We don't know.
Because we've never seen it.
We don't know this character before we see him on screen. And we only know what we see on screen.
And we only know what Dr. Facilier tells us.
Yeah.
About him, really. That's like his entire character development. Mm-hmm. Speaking of Dr. Facilier, let's talk about him, because that was a big controversy kind of even before the movie came out.
That the villain would be a black guy? And
voodoo.
Oh, voodoo.
And that he looked like Baron Samedi?
Yeah, and that he looks like Baron Samedi, which, I mean, you're dealing with people's actual religion there.
Mm-hmm.
I actually know a few practitioners of that religion.
Yeah, I've known a couple myself over my life. And Baron Samedi, and you get into this with American Horror Story too, in which he's actually a character. In the religion, not a particularly necessarily like a villain character. He's not like Christian C. Satan, for instance.
Isn't he more of a trickster in general?
Yeah, he's kind of a trickster god from my understanding. I have studied a little bit because I like studying religions, but I'm by far not an expert. But yeah, he does seem more like a trickster, but also if you make a deal with him, there will be a price. So you better be willing to pay that price. And it's up to you whether or not you're willing to pay the price, but he will, if you ask him for something big, you better expect to pay a big price in return. And if he doesn't get paid, it is kind of my understanding. Which
pretty much
lots of religions have that.
Yeah.
I mean, the Norse religion has that. The Greek religions had that. You don't ask things of the gods if you're not willing to pay them back. Mm. So, he's not like an evil figure. So to have the villain take his kind of guise, it seems a little weird.
But we know that, at least from the ending of the movie, that Facilier owed these people something.
Yeah, we don't know what.
He has a history of double-crossing his friends on the other side, it seems.
Yeah, and we know that his goal is to rule New Orleans. Apparently, he took that whole King of New Orleans thing a little too seriously.
Yeah. The thing is that there's so much about the villain we don't know. And even though I like him as a villain, 90% of that is Keith David.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. Played by almost any other actor, I'm not sure I like this character as much. Because on paper, there's not much to him.
I also like how he's animated.
Oh, so good.
I know, I actually have worked with and know the choreographer who worked on the dancing in this movie, and she spent a lot of time on Facilier.
Yeah, I mean, everything about the way he's kind of drawn and the way he moves is just so great. But as far as motivation,
he wants money.
He likes money.
And he wants power.
He wants power.
And that's it.
And he's willing to sell his soul to do it.
I mean, yeah, like, take a villain like Ursula,
Mhm.
you know, or Scar,
Mhm.
or, you know, even like Maleficent.
Mhm.
Yes, they wanted power and maybe they wanted revenge, but they all had a reason. I mean, Maleficent was specifically insulted by the king and queen.
Mhm.
Scar has been abused by his family his entire life.
Mhm.
We're never quite sure in the original movie, at least, what happened to Ursula, but we know that she's somehow related to the royals and they did her wrong.
She was cast out, yeah.
She's been exiled.
Mhm.
We don't know any kind of similar thing for Facilier other than, like, I want to be rich and powerful, and I don't want to work to do it, which, again, when you're dealing with, like, put all of that on top of the figure of a black man.
Yeah. I mean, and it's right at the beginning of the movie, we see him doing tarot card readings, and he gets paid a single coin. Meanwhile, Big Daddy pays a little kid a stack full of bills for one newspaper.
Yeah. I mean, you know, if you want to say, like, he just, okay, you know, people have been racist to him and he wants to show them, I accept that as a motivation for a villain, but they don't really say that. Or even show it more than in passing.
Yeah, and we even find out that he cannot use his own magic to get what he wants. He even puts on the charm. It says his own magic will not work on himself. So he needs a lackey to do the job for him.
I don't know. Like I said, I love the portrayal of him. I love the kind of feel of him. Actually, I love the Baron Samedi look. Like, it's not my religion, but aesthetically, I've always liked depictions of that figure. You know, so, I mean,
is there something about the portrayal of the Vodun religion as just magic as a means to an end for him that seems out of place here too? Because they don't really treat it as a religion in this. They just sort of treat it as oh, he's got magic and connections to some underworld.
Yeah. Well, we do have him contrasted with the Mama Odie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who does use the same thing.
Yeah, she's also a voodoo priestess.
But she is seen as a very generous figure. Her stuff isn't really magic so much as a connection with the things around her.
And she also has the, I would say more as a connection to nature, because she can talk to the animals.
Yeah, which we don't really see humans being able to do.
No.
There is that great scene as soon as Tiana gets turned into the frog, where she's like, Stella, it's me, Tiana. And Stella's like, Tiana?
Tiana?
In a very masculine voice for the female dog.
Because that's Frank Welker.
Because it is Frank Welker, yeah. But I just find that funny. But Mama Odie can just talk normally to animals, it seems. Although the way she treats poor Choo-Choo.
Oh.
I feel like Juju's used to it.
Yeah, but used to it and okay with it are two different things.
And apparently has known Ray a long time.
Yeah.
But then again, how long do fireflies live?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, she might have known like 7,000 generations of his family by now, because she's said to be 197.
Yeah.
But I love, when you're talking about those two characters coming from a very similar background, but one sees whatever magic or usefulness in that religion as a means to help and teach.
Hmm.
And one sees it as a means to power.
Yeah, but you could say that about any religion.
That's true. And of course we did see it with, Frollo.
Yeah.
Using religion as a means to power, and so I'm not saying that they're doing something brand new for Disney here.
But like you said, it now means something else when it's black characters doing this.
And such a maligned religion. It's different when you're doing Catholicism, one of the major, colonial religions of the world. And a very maligned religion born out of kind of the unfortunate circumstances of slavery.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and if we take Mama Odie at her word that she's 197 years old, that means she was born in 1729.
Yeah, I mean,
which means she might have been one of the first groups of slaves to be brought to America.
Yeah, and she's older than the concept of the United States.
Mm-hmm.
So it is an interesting thing that I like that they did not have the cure for a voodoo curse be like a blessing in a church or something.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like
or the kiss of the white woman.
Yeah.
They could have gone that way.
That would have been problematic,
to say the least, I think.
But at least they
you want to talk about literal white savior.
Yeah. And it looks like they're going in that direction, but then they miss it by just a few seconds.
Yeah.
When midnight hits, and then she is no longer the princess because Mardi Gras is over. I'm not sure how that works, but whatever.
She's a princess until midnight.
Yeah. I even like that the movie questions that logic. Like, does that count? Of course it does.
It's good enough.
Okay.
Well, yeah, I could see it as the people selected Big Daddy to be their king for a day, and I guess that counts.
Well, he bribed his way to be king for a day.
For at least 5 years, I think he's at this point.
So would that technically make Quasimodo a king since he was the king of fools?
I'm good with it.
Yeah, cool. I'm okay with that.
But I will say that Big Daddy is the closest thing an American town would have to a king.
Especially in a hyper-capitalist society.
Yeah, I mean, in capitalism, that the richest guy in the area is also the most powerful guy in the area.
And he'll have the politicians in his pocket.
You mentioned white saviorism a minute ago, and I feel like that's how Big Daddy is portrayed. Very, very much of the white savior trope, given that he's beneficent and generous with his money, and
he's the reason Naveen is in New Orleans to begin with.
Yes, but it's also he gave Tiana's mother a job, and he's portrayed as very unlike I think a wealthy white man would actually exist in New Orleans at that time.
True.
Especially one that had made, at least if he was not specifically a part of it, his father
and grandfather
would have made his wealth off the literal backs of slaves.
And he probably would have been raised with the echoes of the resentment of the Civil War.
And losing all of that capital, Yeah. So, I mean, good that he's kind of nice to his servants, but I'm done with that trope. Can we be done with the rich guy who's nice to the peons?
Yeah, even in Disney, that's a tired trope.
Yeah, I mean, beneficent wealth hoarding is still wealth hoarding.
Yeah.
You know, it's still a social ill, even if a single individual is good. So I'm kind of done with that as a trope, and in this one it seems especially egregious since this was supposed to be Disney kind of dealing with the plight of black people in post-slavery South, you know?
Mm-hmm. And they show Big Daddy giving that kid, the newspaper kid, a stack of bills, which I'm guessing for that kid was probably a life-changing amount of money.
Yeah.
And they're portraying it as if, that's a good way to go about it rather than systemic change.
Yeah.
Just handing out random people a stack of bills.
Well, if you were a corporation like Disney, would you want systemic change?
Well, no.
No.
I mean, I would, but that's because I'm not a corporation like Disney.
Well, yeah, I mean, but, I'm going to say that as much as I dislike the voice, I'm going to say I absolutely love Lottie as a character. And I think
there's genuine love between Tiana and Lottie.
Yeah, and I think that the typical thing of there is a trope, especially in Southern portrayals, of interactions between rich white people and poor black people, of the children who grow up together and then are separated later by their difference in class and race.
They tried the same thing in Fox and the Hound. I don't think they did it that well in that one.
Yeah, probably not. But I will say that Lottie breaks the trope a little bit. Because the trope is that, like, well, I loved you as kids, but I didn't know how the real world worked then. Yeah. And I realize now we're very different. Which is kind of the way a lot of those stories go.
Yeah, that probably would have made Lottie another villain in this movie, if gone down that road.
But instead, she finds out that Tiana is in love with her quote-unquote prince, and the prince is in love with Tiana, and instead of being upset that she doesn't have a prince, she just goes, "Oh my goodness, Tiana, you get the fairy tale ending. I've always wanted to see a fairy tale ending." And she's just legitimately happy.
Happy for her friend, yeah.
Well, and back at the party at her house, when Tiana falls over the table and gets covered in powdered sugar and stuff, her first instinct is to help her.
Yeah. It's immediately to go to her friend and then to dress her in one of the most beautiful dresses.
Her dress, yeah.
Yeah, her own clothing.
Which luckily they were the same size.
Well, that's a movie thing. That always happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you know what? I will say, I mean, of course, even the time I was 19, I had a lot of friends who I could switch clothes with. You know, swapping clothes with friends is very common for girls and women of that age. But I like that even though she's a little disconnected from reality, obviously, that she is a really caring and loving friend. Like, it starts out the movie that you're like, oh, here's this spoiled brat again. And then you find out that no, she's not really that spoiled. I mean, she does get most of what she wants, but she's not mad when she doesn't.
Or if she is mad, it's only for a moment, and then she moves on.
It's over it, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, she wants the princess dress, even though she has an entire closet full of princess dresses. And her Big Daddy tries to discipline her, and then gives her a puppy.
Yeah.
Where was he carrying that puppy?
I don't know.
Hammer space.
But given what happened to that poor cat, can we not question it?
We assume that this is the same dog that we see.
Yeah. Stella later, yeah.
Yeah, Stella. We never see the cat.
I love that the dog is named Stella just so that we can get that joke.
Well, that's not the only Tennessee Williams reference in the movie either.
Oh no, not by far. But
John Goodman has played the lead in several Tennessee Williams plays on stage, including a character called Big Daddy.
Yeah.
Did I say John Williams? I meant John Goodman.
John Goodman, yeah. Sleep deprived, remember?
Yes.
But the I do like that they can make her happy for her friend without making her also the savior of her friend.
Mm-hmm.
She tries.
Yeah, and she'll, at first it's like, I'll kiss you, become a prince, you'll marry me and give me my happy ending. And then when she finds out it's Tiana, it's like, okay, you're going to have your happy ending. I'm okay with that. And it is showing, that she's a bit mature. She is mature.
Yeah.
And she's been saying, no catches, no anything, I'll get you back your humanity. I'll make sure you get your restaurant. I just want you to be happy. And yeah, they miss it by a few seconds, so the kiss doesn't work. But this, Lottie's heart's in the right place.
The only thing I do wonder is, like, why did you let your friend work herself to the bone when you could have just been like, Big Daddy, I really want to eat at her restaurant. Give her a restaurant.
I think it even goes to, now you could say, I think it's supposed to be implied here that she wanted to work for it. But, if it was a handout, she probably wouldn't have taken it. At least that is the implied, at least how I interpret it. But like you said, the white savior aspect of it.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to be a wealth hoarder, at least attempt to use it for good, but also don't be a wealth hoarder. It's a bad thing. No, don't do that. I don't know. It was just the one thing that I was always like, why are you letting this poor child work herself to the bone? At the very least, if she wants to work for it, give her a job cooking in your house's kitchen and pay her a really good wage.
Yeah.
And she'd probably get room and board in a situation like that, too.
Yeah, and then she could save even more money. Like, if she wants to work for it, fine, but there's a lot of ways other than scraping for tips as a waitress. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on, Lottie, step up. Get them beignets, girl.
Those man getting beignets.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a man, but you get me with some beignets.
I have done things for beignets.
Yeah, I have done things I'm not proud of for beignets, and I would do them again. But yeah. So I like the way Lottie is portrayed as breaking some of those stereotypes that you would expect if you know these types of stories, especially in a Southern context. Yeah, let's talk about the animal characters for a second and how they're portrayed, because they are all coded as very let's say lower class, in the sense of marginalized classes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You got Louis the alligator, who, his dream, he wants to play trumpet in a band.
And, most jazz players, especially at that time, black men.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, you got all the fat jokes on top of that, which...
Yeah.
So, definitely black-coded, even though an alligator.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got Ray the Firefly,
mm-hmm.
who is coded as Cajun,
mm-hmm.
of course. And,
But I have met white people with accents like that.
Well, no. Cajun can, you can have, of course, white Cajuns because they're, a lot of them are of French descent anyway. But, they are generally considered in stereotypes poor, a little less educated in stereotypes, very backwater swamp kind of people. You even see it with Ray, he's got the bad teeth drawn in there. Looks very disheveled. Doesn't seem particularly bright, haha, pun, for, mentally, but has that wisdom.
Street smart.
Not even street smarts, but that kind of weird, let me teach you about love, it's like.
And of course, Ray is the only one that knows how to get to Mama Odie, despite Lewis thinking he knows how to get to Mama Odie.
Yeah, well, never take directions from an alligator, I guess.
First rule of the bayou.
Yeah, apparently. So even though not necessarily black-coded, it is a frequently marginalized community.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Evangeline is the name of a Cajun parish in one area, but
it's also apparently a reference to a Longfellow poem about a woman from Acadia.
Yeah, and as well,
which is where the Cajuns come from.
Yeah, they're an offshoot of that, but so all of the animal characters we meet are very definitely from marginalized communities, or at least coded that way. Which is interesting, and I'm not necessarily sure it's bad. But I know when we were talking about doing this episode, Adam, you wanted to talk about the sort of dehumanization of.
Yeah, that's something I've actually been thinking about a lot recently, because I had never really thought about it until I read when they released the trailer for the upcoming Pixar movie Soul, and there was an essay I read that talked about how all of Disney's leads of color don't actually get to be people of color. For example, in Princess and the Frog, Tiana spends 2/3 of the movie as a frog, not as a black woman.
As well as Naveen.
Yeah, as well as Naveen. And in Coco, Miguel spends most of the movie as a skeleton, not as a Mexican boy. And in this movie Soul that hasn't come out yet, the lead character, who is black, seems to, at least according to the trailer, spend most of the movie as a sort of disembodied little blue soul blob, and not as a black man.
And I was mentioning this to Kiki before we recorded. It's technically a Disney movie now, but Spies in Disguise, where Will Smith's character is mostly a pigeon.
Yeah.
And yeah,
it shows my privilege that I had never even thought about that until I read the essay, and now I really see it, that it's pretty unfortunate.
And Disney does have a history of, not just in this movie but in other movies, of having animal characters be the ones that are coded non-white.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
are you talking about a certain set of crows in a movie about an elephant?
Yeah, but even then, even when you have all animal features. You know? I mean, you got Lady and the Tramp, and then you got We Are Siamese, if you know?
Mm-hmm.
Even the Chinese cat and Aristocats.
Yeah. You get, like you said, the crows in Dumbo. In Lion King, most of the lions are voiced by white people in the original movie. Most of the good characters, quote unquote, are voiced by white people. But the henchman to the villain, 2/3 people of color.
Yep.
And you get it in the Jungle Book too with King Louis, even though he's played by a white man. Louis Prima, if you didn't know Louis Prima was white, you might make that assumption as well.
Yeah, or you might do like me and think it's Louis Armstrong. But yeah, so this is a recurring theme in Disney, and of course not just Disney, as you just said. Spies in Disguise was made under a different studio and then acquired by Disney. Mm-hmm. And Disney is not the only studio even today that is dealing with this. Mm-hmm. You know, as this is a thing that keeps happening. You know, when you're dealing with non-human characters, it's interesting which ones get coded in various racial ways. Mm-hmm. And which ones are like the typical broadcaster white person voice.
Yeah.
And how many of those racially coded ones are done by white voice actors?
Yeah.
I'm not going to name names, but I know of at least one white voice actor who was very well known for doing black sounding voices, who I believe has now sworn off playing non-white characters.
You go back to the crows and Dumbo, every one of them was played by a white voice actor.
Oh, well, yeah, I mean, they only hired white voice actors at that time.
Yes.
Of course, all of Hollywood. That wasn't just like a, you know, most of Hollywood hired white people and just put them in blackface. But, you know, in some ways, there's been a big thing in animation of late of, is animated blackface still blackface?
Yeah.
And I think as long as voice actors or any actors of color are not getting equal opportunity to their white counterparts, the answer is going to be yes.
You'll get a handful.
Even as recently as something like, sorry, go ahead.
I mean, you'll get a handful, like, you know, if I, you know, for a while, did anyone really know that Elmira from Tiny Toons was voiced by a black woman?
I didn't know until Cree Summer was on Rob Paulson's podcast.
Yeah. So, you know,
I mean, I did, because I was the sort of weird kid that read the credits, and I knew Cree Summer from A Different World. Mm-hmm. And so I knew that she was a black actress, but you know, I'm actually less upset going the other way. Mm-hmm. Because,
I mean, the opportunities and all that.
Yeah, because it's just the opportunities. If the opportunities were equal, I don't think I'd care the race of the person. Yeah, I don't think I'd see a problem with it if opportunities were equal. But since they have been for so long weighted against people of color trying to break into the business, I'm okay saying, hey, until we fix this, we're just having a moratorium on white actors playing racially coded characters or characters who are drawn of a different ethnicity.
You know, you look at something like Avatar: The Last Airbender and The Legend of Korra. the entire series is full of Asian coded characters being played by white voice actors.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunate, and I wish they hadn't have done that as much as I love those shows.
Yeah,
And we've
agreed.
and we've talked a bit about it before. Aladdin, a movie full of brown skinned actors, all played by white people.
Yeah. Despite Lea Salonga doing the singing voice, but yeah, voiced by a white actress. So yeah, I mean, and I know that there are a lot of white people out there who are like, but that takes away things from us, and I'm like, you know what? Somebody's had their thumb on the scale for you this whole time, whether you knew it or not. You're still going to get work. I guarantee you. You know, any voice actor alive right now is, unfortunately, I don't think going to live to see them losing out on work in any significant way. Not unfortunately, but as far as it being balanced enough that you're actually in serious contention for the same roles as actors of color. And sometimes you gotta understand that even when you didn't intend that and you had nothing to do with it, somebody's been rigging the game in your favor, and you gotta stand up and say, that's not right. I don't want to win at a rigged game. I want to win at a fair game. I want you to hire me because I'm the best actor, not because I'm the whitest actor.
Yeah.
And, you know, and the same thing is got to be said for cis actors going for trans roles and all that kind of stuff, you know? Let trans people have a shot at playing not only their own stories, but cast trans actors as just cis characters. Why not? They're actors. If your thing is, well, if an actor is a good actor, they can play a trans character, then why can't a trans actor play a cis character? If they're a good enough actor. You know?
Gay actors have to play straight all the time.
Yeah. I mean, so, you know, until there is more equity in some of these things, then, you know, the people who have, you know, been on the winning side of that rigged game have got to kind of fight back and say, I'm not going to play until it's fair. So, you know, it's, and it's almost worse in some ways with voice acting because you don't know the faces.
Yeah.
You know, if a white actor can do a stereotypical black voice, you know, at least back in the day before the internet, we didn't know what these people look like.
Well, and that's why it's important for productions to step up, you know, and there are a lot of productions doing it now, but it's not enough.
Not even close.
But like if you look at something like Steven Universe was explicitly meant to have a very diverse cast from the beginning, and they've done a lot in that. And She-Ra on Netflix also the same way.
Yeah. And it makes a difference sometimes in the acting. You know? I mean, you can have a great imagination, but sometimes, and, you know, this is kind of what things like The Method tried to teach before they got perverted, sometimes your own personal experience is the best thing to draw from.
Yeah.
And if you are, you know, if you're white, you don't have certain experiences to draw from authentically. If you're cisgender, you don't have those experiences to draw from authentically. So, you know, maybe step aside for somebody who can, because honestly, they're probably going to do a better job of it than you. And, you know, it sucks when things are unfair kind of for everybody, because some people, you know, some people will complain on either, you know, even when they've got the better end of it.
Yeah.
But
some people like the fact that the game is rigged. I mean,
yeah, some people do like the fact that the game is rigged, but we've all got to be better than that. So I don't know. That's maybe be more careful about your racial coding and casting of animal characters and object characters and all that too.
Non-human
characters. Be a little more thoughtful about that. Alien characters, all that fun stuff. What else do we want to deal with in this?
I guess, we've been doing this for about 2 hours. I think we can we can skip to the ending.
We have been talking about the ending a little bit. I love this ending.
How they get out of it is like, it's the ultimate loophole in terms of the fairy tale ending, is that they get married by Mama Odie
as frogs,
and then they kiss, and because now she is a princess because she married a prince, the spell is broken.
I love the Disney thing of like, if you marry a prince, you're automatically a princess. Because almost no royal system works that way.
No, there's a whole complicated system of titles and
Queen Elizabeth's husband is not the king.
No, he is a prince though.
He is a prince. But let's talk about the modern version. Meghan Markle did not become a princess.
Mm-hmm.
She does not have the title of princess.
No,
she is a duchess. Mm-hmm. Her husband is a prince. She will never be a princess. Because that's not always the way that works. But also, really, at least in the British system, I believe that the only women who marry in and get to be princesses are the ones who are married to those in line directly.
Yeah.
Like it is assumed that Kate will be eventually granted that title, I think, because it is expected she will be queen consort one day. But
and we're assuming that Naveen is the eldest, and so he's in line for the throne.
We don't know. That's the thing, is we don't know.
We see his parents, and his little brother, but we don't know if he's got an older sister or an older brother or anything like that.
And the thing is that this entire thing comes about because he's been sort of disinherited.
Yeah, he's spent who knows how much of his parents' money that if they didn't cut him off, they would be broke.
Yeah, and all, but you don't do that to the heir?
Well, the impression I got from it was they wanted him to learn a lesson and then they'd welcome him back.
But you don't really do that to the heir.
Yeah.
It's they are considered in most royal systems that they have whatever they want. They are being groomed for power.
But this is also Disney we're talking about.
Yeah.
So those rules don't really apply, and they're negotiable in the world of Disney.
But yeah, that is the one weird thing about the ending to me. Because the ending, the second that they're like, oh, you're human again, the movie goes into, like, massive fast forward.
Yeah.
That movie hits ludicrous speed from then until
I did like that Tiana's restaurant went from Tiana's place to Tiana's palace.
Yeah, I did like that. That was a good change.
Because, she's a princess now, so of course she has a palace.
Yeah. But at the same time, if he's the heir, let's assume he is.
Mm-hmm.
If he is the heir, and it's not just like a title that is just kind of a legacy title, but they don't really have any power anymore. Mm-hmm. If he has actual power, she is going to be expected to move to his country when his father dies, or mother, or whoever is the actual ruler.
Yeah.
Yeah. So is this like, let's give her her dream for a little bit, and then we've got to move to Maldonia?
Mm-hmm. Maybe she can open a second location in the capital there.
Yeah. The future queen is cooking food for everybody.
Everyone must come to the queen's restaurant. Everyone must tell the queen how good her food is.
Tiana wouldn't like that.
Well, I know, but, you know, I mean, it's like...
That's how it would happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, this is Disney, and those rules don't apply.
I mean, if you lived in an absolute monarchy and the queen opened a restaurant and you went there to eat, I don't care if there are bugs in your food, you're still going to be like, please tell Her Majesty that this is the greatest food I've ever had. Because you live in an absolute monarchy. This is why we don't do those anymore.
But honestly, a lot of the ending really would not happen if Naveen was not a prince.
Yeah.
Like, Tiana would have not gotten the restaurant if possibly not only the influence of Naveen, but the bullying of Lewis. And Lewis would not have gotten his chance to be a trumpeter in a band if it wasn't for Naveen. And it's really weird. Like, yeah, Tiana can own the restaurant, but if she was not a princess with that kind of influence, would they have allowed an alligator in the band?
Yeah, can you imagine black former waitress just being like, I'm going to open up a restaurant, and also there's going to be a real-life alligator playing
trumpet in the...
Yeah.
Which, by the way, the band has one of the deepest cut Disney references I've ever seen. The name on the bass drum of the band is the Firefly 5 plus Lou, which would be Lewis, I'm guessing. That is a reference to one of the Walt's 9 Old Men, Ward Kimball. He had a band called the Firehouse 5 plus 2.
That is an incredibly deep cut.
And he was a clarinetist, and he had that band, and was actually the bassist for the Firehouse band at Disneyland. And it was a Dixieland band, kind of exactly like the one shown in the movie.
I did not know that. That is awesome.
That is the insidest of inside references.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure if I was Louis that I'd want to be playing in a band in a restaurant and still be a gator. Because gator tail is some real good eating.
I mean, they serve gator in Louisiana.
Oh yeah, I mean that's a southern dish, and especially around in Louisiana and in New Orleans. So, I love gator, man. The gator tail is excellent, and so are frogs.
Someday when the food delivery in the kitchen is late, the cooks start looking out at the bandstand going,
that gator's got a really big tail. We get a lot of good eating out of that.
I am still sad at the death of Ray. I feel that was unnecessary.
Yeah, the death of Ray, I think, was pretty egregious.
Yeah, I mean,
like we already knew Facilier was cruel. We didn't need to establish that.
But he got to be with Evangeline, though.
Yes, that is that. Yeah, no. In the theater, when the second star appeared, I was bawling my eyes out.
Yeah, that is a very emotional moment.
Even though those stars are probably technically thousands of millions of miles apart.
Well, one of them is Venus.
Yeah.
I will say that the Fireflies lead to one of my favorite get it past the censors jokes in a Disney movie ever. Is when Mama Odie says, how's your grandma doing? He goes, well, she's in trouble for flashing the neighbors again.
Yeah. And there's a lot of light jokes with Ray. Like he farts and he has a little flush in his light bulb.
Yeah.
And he has to twist his own butt to get it to light up like a light bulb, and the grandma's light bulb turns on with the clapper.
Yeah, the grandma clapping to turn her light on was one of my favorites.
When I dressed up as Ray and Laura dressed up as Evangeline, I had a green tailcoat with lights around the edge of it on the back of it, so I could light up my butt just like Ray.
That is awesome. I also liked that the grandma had a walker with tennis balls on the bottom, even though she was flying in the middle of the air.
and the walker floated as she was clapping.
Yeah. I love the levitating walker, but...
And apparently a small pill bug just happy to be an accordion.
Yeah. I mean...
I would not be happy if I were that bug.
No. Also, pill bugs don't work like that. FYI, if you've ever played with them, and I did a ton as a child, because I was poor and raised in the South, so that was my toy.
I did when I was a kid until I found a handful of them in a box of raisins I was eating.
Ooh! Never had that experience and very glad I didn't.
I think that's all we could say about what we wanted to talk about Princess and the Frog. So let's get to the question, is there magic in this movie? I want to say yes. Again, there's some issues with the movie in terms of how they're handling the races, but as a story, it's definitely good. It's definitely worth the watch, at least.
I would say for me, this is... It's not going to be one of my Disney best personally, but it's very entertaining. I'm not sure this is always going to be as much of a rewatch for me as some of the ones we've discussed before. But you know, I might stop and leave it on if it comes on TV or whatever. The thing we didn't really talk about that I do want to mention before we stop is the animation, because there are two different styles of animation here.
Oh yeah, the fantasy sequence.
Is that the normal sequences are kind of throwbacks to like Lady and the Tramp.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very similar style to Lady and the Tramp.
That would be the only other one of the few Disney movies taking place in 20th century.
Well, and also, isn't that one also supposed to be set in like New Orleans?
Around there, yeah.
Lady and the Tramp. Fun fact, the quote-unquote live-action Lady and the Tramp that they just put out on Disney Plus when it started earlier this year, that was filmed almost exclusively in Savannah, but it is supposed to be in New Orleans.
Huh.
And if you live near Savannah, as I do, that is the most Savannah movie in the history of ever, and they keep saying that it's New Orleans, and I'm like, no, this is 100% Savannah, because that town looks like no other town. But
it's hard to double something else for New Orleans, because New Orleans has a very distinct look as well.
Yeah, the one time, the funny thing is that the one time that there was a Disney production that was supposed to be taking place in Savannah recently was Luke Cage, because his father was supposed to have a church in Savannah, and they filmed it in New Orleans. And then they filmed the beach scenes in New Jersey. And I don't know if you've ever been on a beach in South Georgia and a beach in New Jersey, but they don't look a thing alike. So, yeah, he's kind of standing on a large boulder on a rocky shore looking out on the Atlantic Ocean off the coast of Savannah. And I'm like, Tybee Island doesn't look like that. That's like the main beach near Savannah. No. And then also when they did the church for the church that was supposed to be in Savannah, it was a New Orleans style, and it was filmed in Louisiana. And it was very much a New Orleans style architecture. And Savannah architecture and New Orleans architecture are not that similar. It is very easy to tell the difference if you've ever been to either place. So boo Luke Cage, because Savannah has an amazing film trade. So why you couldn't just send like a crew down to get B-roll of Savannah, I don't know why, but yeah. So the main thing is done off of kind of Lady and the Tramp, but the fantasy sequences, that beautiful Art Deco Harlem Renaissance style.
Yes.
Oh, so good.
And it's amazing that Tiana's father was prescient that style would come around in 1912.
Yeah, exactly. It's a little too early to have that there, I think, but I do love that they tied it so specifically to a big art style from the Black community.
And the sequence is gorgeous.
Oh, so good. Every time they use that style, it's just beautiful. So I bravo to them for doing that. That there, and Disney used a lot of new techniques for them. Even though it was 2D, a lot of it was digitally created. In a kind of new mash that they hadn't really done before. So, and the animation is gorgeous still. It's just beautiful. So yeah.
All right. So let's wrap it up. Adam.
Oh, yeah.
Does this movie have magic in it?
For me, absolutely. I recognize that this movie is problematic in many ways, but that goes for a lot of the Disney canon. Mm-hmm. And for me, I think a lot of the magic in this movie for me comes from the music and the performances and my own experience as a musician. But I just this movie feels like it was made with a lot of love, and that will always count for a lot with me. Mm-hmm. And I think it comes through despite the problematic elements, but I feel like the casting in this movie is perfect. For the most part, and the story's good, and the performances are phenomenal. So yeah, I think it does have a lot of magic for me.
Yeah, definitely. You could tell that there was a lot of love in this movie. Yes, there were some problems, there were some issues, but I don't think a lot of that was intended. Like we've just discussed in this episode, I don't think it was intended. It just, the Disney formula doesn't work for everyone.
And I wish it did. I want the Disney formula to be, I want us as a society to have a place where that feels authentic.
Yeah.
But I will say, because this is, the start of a few episodes of dealing with Disney and race. And the reason we have picked the films we have picked for this is that I think we don't want to just rag on Disney and say, you've done everything wrong. But I think we want to point out when they're trying to do right and praise that, and also say, but here's some things you need to think about in future. Please do think about them and do more things like this.
Yeah. You did well. Here's how you can do better.
Yeah, but because this is an excellent start.
Yeah.
I guess for Disney trying to tackle race issues.
And the fact that this is the start of the modern era of Disney animation. We wouldn't have, it would just be a year later we would get Tangled, and then that will lead up into Frozen, and where they go with Wreck-It Ralph, Big Hero 6,
and Brave,
Moana.
and
yeah.
And this was a turning point for Disney in the sense that Disney really did start at this point to try to be more inclusive on a level we had not seen before.
Mm-hmm.
And some of it they've done better than others, of course. But they've tried to become more feminist and more, I won't say realistic, but, then we get things like, Anna in Frozen going like, maybe I shouldn't marry a guy I've known for 2.5 minutes.
The more heroic princesses taking a more progressive role instead of just being either the damsel in distress or the love interest.
Yeah, and also trying to be more sensitive about the ways that they deal with some of these elements.
Yeah.
Realizing that, oh wow, our princesses are like really white. Maybe we need to open it up, and now we've got Tiana, now we've got Moana. We're hopefully gonna get some more soon.
We know that there is, I don't know if it counts as a princess movie, but we are getting another female-led movie with Raya and the Last Dragon. Whenever that comes out.
Yeah, I mean, they're kind of, they've kind of restricted the princess line in a lot of ways, and in some ways I kind of wish they wouldn't have. But I want to see more. I don't want everything to be the same.
Mm-hmm.
Challenge me. Show me something new.
Mm-hmm.
And I applaud that they are trying.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's what this series is about, is that, I'll say, speaking from, my perspective on the thing, is that I know I'm never going to fully understand the experiences of people of color.
Mm-hmm.
Or, people in other marginalized groups to which I do not belong.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that I'm gonna mess it up. And I'm not always gonna get it right. But I always want to do better tomorrow than I did yesterday.
That's all you can do.
And I want Disney to do the same. And not just Disney, but like,
all media.
All media.
Yeah.
And I think it's just as it is important to point out when there is a misstep, I think it's important to point out when we're seeing progress and to praise that.
Mm-hmm.
And this was absolutely progressive. And I think that even though there were missteps, none of it came from a bad place. But we also have to realize that if you've got, especially if there are white creators trying to tell the stories of people of color, we've got a lot of preconceived notions. And maybe we need to bring in more people and turn it over to them.
I am all for more writers of color in these movies. I'm more for more directors of color in these movies, just to get, like we said before, the director of Princess and the Frog were the same people who were doing the Disney Renaissance movies, and those were two white guys.
Yeah. And they're very talented people.
Yes, very talented.
But maybe not the right people to tell this
particular
story.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Be more open to creators of color as opposed to just actors of color, because you're still putting a black face on a white idea in a way.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's a lot of things being put out by creators of color that I am super looking forward to. coming up, and all, and of course, in animation, there are a few people breaking through as well. I mean, I absolutely loved that the Oscar went to what's the name? Hair Story, Hair
like
Magic. I wish I could remember. I feel so bad now. Slave Deprived. I'm sorry. But it's a beautiful story, and it was made by Black creators about a Black girl and her hair, and of course all the things with, Black women and hair. But yeah. So be better about that.
Hair Love, that was the name of the cartoon.
Yes, thank you. So yeah. Let's wrap this up. It has been a great episode. We really appreciate Adam being here. Thank you so much for coming back, Adam, and talking about this movie.
Thank you for having me. I always enjoy coming on here, and it's been a blast.
You're our first repeat guest host, so
I feel so very special.
You are very special. You were one of our early supporters as a fan and a friend of the show, so we appreciate it. Yeah, we're gonna kind of sign off now. We're trying not to really do any big promotion, but because it's time sensitive, we do want to remind you that if you have a comedy song or comedy music video that you saw in 2019 that you think should be up for nomination for the Logan Awards, please go to loganawards.com and get your nominations in, because that will be closing soon. So thank you for that.
And if you can, I would say find comedy songs by people of color.
Yes, please do. We definitely want to hear more comedy songs by people of color. Absolutely. And Jared, I think you do have a little bit of news on that front.
Yes, I just got some news the other day that I've been invited to be one of the jurors this year. So not only is Kiki one of the jurors, but I am as well. So I will be also judging the songs.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Please help us out. And like Adam said, if you know creators of color that you really think deserve to have, we definitely want more diversity in comedy music, and we have been pushing for it for a while. So.
Right. So do you want to move on to what we're doing next week?
Yeah. Next week.
Next week we are tackling Zootopia.
Disney's direct attempt at dealing with race and also police.
Wait, that movie was a metaphor?
Yeah.
So yeah, we're gonna do a cop movie next week.
That's not relevant right now at all, is it?
No.
So again, localawards.com. Submit your 5 funny songs from 2019. And check us out at our usual places. And we will talk to you again next week. Bye.
Thank you for listening to Rewatching the Magic. We invite you to keep the magic going by joining the conversation online. Find us on Facebook at Rewatching the Magic, on Twitter at Rewatch the Magic, and of course, find all new episodes at rewatchingthemagic.podbean.com. Until next time, remember, the magic is for everyone. It only stops if you let it.